Um, Hi everyone again. How's your morning or afternoon going? My name is Damilola Olokesusi from Lagos, Nigeria, co-founder of Shuttlers. Um, what advice would I give to young people like yourself this period is that this is the right time. The time to start is now. I did not start my startup uh, at this present age. I started 5 years ago, and before 5 years, I've tried my hands on so many activities. Like when I shared on my Instagram page about this event, I remembered at the age of 16, as a social prefect in my secondary school, I organized an event with a colleague, a co prefect at that time, where the students were able to uh, have a fun activity that never happened before in school, and it just came about as a problem that I recognized and I was able to solve. So no matter how small or big um, a problem is around you, you are not too young to solve them. Whatever the resources you can also find around you, you can also use as well to solve that problem.
Okay. Another question that I just wanted to ask you is that the transportation industry and logistics industry is one that is full of a lot of red tapes. It's got quite a lot of hurdles to jump through. What made you and your co-founders think that you guys could actually tackle such an industry?
Thank you so much. Um, I hear this question more often than none. Um, so at the age of 19, I took part in an academic training called Dista Leadership Academy. At that time, I was in my year 3 in the university, and I went through a rigorous 3 weeks training on discovering your skills, your vision, your mission, how you can harness your God-given talents, and honestly, at the end of that program, you can call it like an accelerator program or a training program or a camp like tech. Um, I believe that I could do anything. Sometimes because I think looking back, I think that because of our naivety, my naivety and my co-founder's naivety of believing that we could solve the problem, we entered the industry without even looking at the barriers or the difficulties or the challenges there, and we believed strongly that we could solve the problem. So we did not see it as maybe it's a male-dominated industry or I studied chemical engineering, by the way. I didn't have that mentality that oh, it's a male-dominated industry. I didn't see the barriers. I didn't see the difficulties. I believed that it was something that I could do. First off, I'll give you like a background about me that made me really venture into it. So I grew up in a very quiet city called Ibadan in Nigeria. It's not as fast paced like Lagos, and the transportation system is quite different from where I currently live now. When I moved to Lagos for my university, it was a huge gap. Like the drivers are really um, road raging drivers. The buses are uncomfortable. There's no AC in it. There's always fighting, for space or for change, giving the driver money. And it was just like a really culture shock for me coming from the small city that I was coming from. I went through this experience in Lagos. I remember every single time I was always frustrated using the public transportation. And I'd never traveled outside of the country. I've never traveled to the UK or the US, but I knew that something could be better, but I didn't really understand how to go about it. Um, at that time, that was when this was in 2014-ish. That was when Uber was was coming gradually into African cities like Lagos. And I wondered, oh, this Uber is a fantastic idea, but why can't we have something that is even cheaper that we could use, and we could use the bus, we could use the buses as well, just like I hear that happens in the UK. Around that time, I was able to travel briefly for a vacation in Dubai, and I saw firsthand what it meant to live in a city that had smart transportation, where the train stations work, the buses are in good condition, air conditioned, with no raging drivers, or everybody is, very sane. I felt really bad, honestly, for my city. I felt really sad. Honestly, I didn't even want to come back. But coming back to the city, I knew I had to do something, because I didn't want to continue to use that form of transportation. So I wanted to create something that I could use, my friends could use, people could access safe and efficient transportation, regardless of if the government was ready to um, move to change things or not. So I just believe that there was a way, if people like Mark Zuckerberg, or people like the founders of Uber, could think of an idea and grow it to a company where people are using it worldwide. Why can't I start something in my little city and ensure that it's something that is usable as well?
Great. Yeah, that sounds like you had quite a lot of motivation to actually solve the problem in your country. And I think that is one of the things that young entrepreneurs actually need is like the motivation to do.
Sorry, it's breaking again.
Okay. I'm saying that I think that the young entrepreneurs actually need this kind of motivation, in for themselves to actually want to solve problems within their countries, and not only just to make money out of it, but to make it better for even themselves to actually use such resources. The next question is around fear. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have the idea, but it becomes so, they have reasons as to why they have not started their business. It could be many reasons. Fear of being, I don't know, ridiculed.
I'm finding it hard to hear. I'm finding it hard to hear. Can you probably just send the message and questions via chat as well, so that I
Um,
can hear the questions?
yeah, we can make that available for you. So my question is, how do you
Okay.
overcome fear?
How do I overcome fear?
Yes, to start your business. How do
Is
you?
that the question?
Yeah, yes. If there was any fear.
Okay. Um, Thank you for that question. Um, so, how do I overcome fear?
Or how did you overcome?
So, over the years, like I said, because I had not had any prior, um, information and experience about transportation, kind of being that information, not knowing about the challenges, gave us strength to believe that we could solve them, right? So sometimes some kind of ignorance is good, right? But we overcame the fear. My team and I overcame the fear in this industry by acting, right? So I'll give you an example. At the very start of the way the service run is that we promise you. The way the shuttle runs is not like a hailing service. It's a scheduled service that we promise you that you can. use the bus on a particular route for a particular period of time. So that means that we promise that this certain bus would work at this particular time, and maybe at 7:30 every morning, this bus is going to get um, to your bus stop, right? Starting off, we started with small challenges. Small challenges like, oh, there's hold up, the bus couldn't make it. How do we get back up? Bigger challenges that the bus has had a breakdown uh, uh, on a very, maybe on the Third Mainland Bridge, on a bridge. How do we solve this problem? And as we solved and as we overcame those challenges, it gave us strength and gave us more experience um, to solve bigger challenges. And that really helped me with managing fear. It gave me the strength and gave me the courage and belief that nothing is impossible. Whenever a problem arises, the first thing I think about is what is the solution, because there's always a solution to solve it. And because of the track record of past track record where you've been able to tackle small and big problems, every time a new one comes, I always remind myself that this also will pass and we'll find a way around it and solve the problem.
That's very beautiful, and I think we can learn a lot from what you said. That you can just tackle each problem as you go. You don't need to tackle the whole entire problem, but as you go, you kind of get to identify other problems and just tackle these problems slowly but surely. Yeah. I think my other question would come with the problem of funding. I think that's one of the biggest problems that young entrepreneurs face, and they usually say that having funding or people to fund their ideas becomes a little bit of a struggle. I'd like to find out, how did you tackle the hurdle
Yeah.
of funding with when it came to your business?
Okay. So at the very beginning, the idea stage of the startup, this was before our pilot. We family and friends from and personal savings, just savings from like 1 or 2 months salary, savings, contributions from family, and this was just little money, about maybe 250,000 naira. If you convert that to um, dollars, that is less than maybe about $500 now, and we were able to, and you know, when I hear, ideas or people say, oh, yeah, funding, yes, I know that, yes, funding is very important, but at the very beginning, you need to find very, very lean ways, cheap ways to offer the service to your customers, and so that you can use the first your pilot period to learn um, from them and not invest too much money as well. I look back at our initial um, I look back at our initial stage at the beginning when we are starting this startup, and very grateful that we didn't even get funding at that time, because we didn't know what we were doing and we would have wasted the money. So at the very beginning, it was family and friends that gave us the first push, just a little money to to run our first pilot. And from the pilot, we were able to learn, and we even had to shut down the service for a while, and then to come back to restart and relaunch the service. By relaunching the service, we already perfected our business model, learned from the failed pilot, and with some competitions that we won, or were able to get our first pre-launch funding. Um, we explored equity funding from angel investors, but it didn't work out. But that did not discourage us. We applied for so there were so many competitions out there, and the one we won was the one organized by the Office of the Vice President at that time. So we are the president at the Asobila demo day. We won for the idea stage, and we're able to get a little bit of seed funding to push the company further for our final launch in 2016.
That is beautiful. Um, I just want to ask the question. I mean, today we are faced with so many challenges, regarding COVID-19. It has really just changed so much that is happening in the world, and it has affected economies, it has affected businesses. So, what opportunities do you think that young entrepreneurs can take from this?
Okay, that's a very good question. Um, you know that the the best ideas, the best problems, the best ideas comes from solving problems, right? Facebook came out of a problem of trying to connect with friends. Amazon came from a problem of trying to buy products. Alibaba, same thing. The great companies were trying to solve a problem, a challenge at a particular point in time. So whenever there's problem, there are opportunities. So for COVID-19, even us ourselves as shuttlers at the very early stages was very frightening, especially with the lockdown where it was very, things were very uncertain. We didn't really understand if um, how things would change, what would happen. But and that is the spirit of entrepreneurship. We quickly found ways to adjust the reality, find a way to reduce costs, and still maintain our customers and still make them happy and still reassure them of the service. And right now, our margins are even higher than when there wasn't COVID-19. So that is just to show you that things are happening. Doesn't mean that there are no opportunities or businesses are not growing. Businesses are growing, new businesses are springing up, and there are new opportunities. So what opportunities do you think you can venture into? Look around you. You can start by doing, just be aware of your environment. That's the first thing. Be aware of what is currently happening around you, your society, your community, and be in touch with people. Try to, and if you identify the problem, try to validate if that problem exists and if people are willing to pay for it. Things like, there are so many things. It might be deliveries, it might be errands, it might be face shields, it might be nose masks, it might anything that you think this period. It might even be food delivery that, okay, this period people don't feel comfortable going to the restaurants anymore, and they want a verified platform, a verified chef to cook their food for them, and it's something that you can do. So definitely, that is one of the ways that you can find opportunities. Wherever environment, ask questions, take surveys, do a test of the to validate if the idea is viable or not, if people are willing to pay for it or not, and then get ready to launch out.
Okay. Just for our final question, or probably the last question before we take in more questions from the panel, if there are. Um, I just wanted to find out. You decided at a very young age that you were going to become a serial entrepreneur, right? And with that being said, how many businesses did